Hi, this is Pam from the Hooked on Sewing. In this video tutorial, I want to show you how to make these adorable bunny ears for wood teething rings. Let's take a look at the supplies that you'll need. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric. You can use 2 pieces of the same fabric. You can use 2 different fabrics. You can use cotton, you can use flannel, fleece, cuddle fabric. They all work really well. So in addition to your 2 pieces of 5-inch by 16-inch fabric, you'll need some matching thread. You'll need some wood rings, and I'll leave a link to the ones that I purchased below in the comments. You'll also need a pair of fabric scissors. Some picking shears are helpful but not required, an iron and an ironing surface, and you will need your sewing machine. As far as a needle goes, you can use a stretch needle if you're using stretch fabrics like cuddle fabrics or fleece. But a standard 9014 sewing machine needle works well too. Now let's take a look at how to make these adorable bunny ears. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fabric and cut it out 5 inches by 16 inches. And then I'm going to take my cotton fabric and I am going to lay my fabric, my pattern down along the fold and then pin it in place, and then I'm just cutting out that pattern piece. Once I have this pattern piece cut out, I'm going to lay it on top of that 5 by 16 inch piece of fleece that I just cut out. And I'll explain to you here why I'm doing that. Because the fleece and cuddle fabrics and flannels have a stretch to them, and they can be somewhat difficult to keep straight sometimes. I find it easier to just cut a rectangle piece like this. Then I'm going to make sure I have my fleece right side up, and then I'm going to lay my cotton fabric right side down so the 2 right sides are facing, and then I'm just going to pin the 2 layers of fabric together. Just a note, when you go to sew these 2 pieces together, just remember that you need to leave a 2-inch opening so you can turn this fabric right side out. So you could go ahead at this point and cut your fabric like I said, but I'm not. I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch it together just like it is. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I have a walking foot on my sewing machine. If you don't have a walking foot, I do recommend that you put the fleece or the stretchy fabric on the bottom so that it is closest to your feed dogs, and you put the cotton fabric on top like I'm doing here. Then I'm just pivoting at the point for the bunny ears, and I'm just sewing along the outside edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance and just removing the pins as I go. Again, I've got my fleece fabric on the bottom and my cotton fabric on top. And then when I get back to the beginning, remember I'm going to leave a 2-inch gap for turning my fabric right side out. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end to secure my stitches. Now I'm going to use my rotary cutter to cut out along the cotton fabric, just trimming that fleece, the extra fabric from the fleece away. And you see that stitched up so easily when I just pinned it together like that. And now I'm going to take my scissors and just clip these 4 points at 4 corners for the bunny ears there. And then I'm going to take my rotary cutter that has kind of like pinking shears, but it's a rotary cutter, and I'm just going to trim along those edges so they're all nice and trimmed about 1/8 of an inch away from the seam allowance. But I'm not going to trim the seam allowance of that 2-inch opening where we're going to turn these right side out. So again, I'm just going along using my little zigzag rotary cutter and trimming up these seam allowances. And I'm going to cut across the points here just to then trim that down a little bit. It helps reduce the bulk. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to put my fingers inside there and turn that fabric right side out. You can also use a tool for this. but it's a big enough opening that I didn't have a problem turning it right side out with my fingers. Now, once I have it right side out, I'm going to use my bone folder. You can also use a knitting needle or the eraser end of a pencil, whatever you have on hand, to kind of push out the seams along the ears of your bunny ears so that it'll lay nice and flat. And I am going to take it over to my ironing board and give it a nice little pressing on the cotton side. I'm also going to top stitch around the perimeter of these bunny ears using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I forgot to record that. I apologize. And now I'm just going to insert the bunny ears into the wood rings. You just fold the fabric in half and insert that fold through the wood, and then you take the end of the bunny ears and fold them up and insert them through the loop that you just made, and then you tighten it down on your wood ring. And there you have these adorable wood bunny ear teething rings. Thank you so much for watching my video tutorial on these bunny ear wood teething rings. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified when new tutorials are made available. And please come visit me over on the Hooked on Sewing blog, where I share beginner-friendly sewing projects like this. And subscribe to my newsletter so you'll have these ideas delivered fresh to your inbox. Thank you.